You would think that I really got busy picking up that garbage after that last video with the whole Batman stuff, but instead I just kind of off to Europe. So I suppose I should explain myself. I was very dissatisfied with my job, and I felt stuck in life. I was in the motions, doing the same thing every day, just living for the weekend, and in my opinion, that's no way to live life. So I went out, had my own little adventure. I left the Shire, went to, it wasn't necessarily Mount Mordor, but yeah. The first country I visited was Greece, on this lovely island called Kalamos, just off the coast of Turkey. And while it was beautiful, there was a significant trash problem. When you threw your trash away, the garbage truck would, of course, pick it up, and it would take it to the dump. But at the dump, they would simply burn the trash because they are on a desolate, distant island, and it would be too much money to properly dispose of it. Also, you couldn't drink the running water in Greece, so there was a huge problem with plastic bottles. Plastic bottles coated the entire island, detracting from its beautiful scenery, and the bottles could even be found in the otherwise pristine Aegean Sea. The next country that I visited was Italy, where I visited the fantastic cities of Rome and Florence. However, I went at absolutely the worst time because it was the hottest summer on record in Italy's history. There was a major heat wave going on throughout Europe, and when I was in Rome, it was high 90s to 104 degrees. Another reason why not to go to Italy in the middle of summer is because it is absolutely packed with tourists. Can you imagine what is it, Michelangelo, what he would think if he saw Florence today and it was just packed with tourists and every other shop was a gift shop? I'm sure he'd be pretty sad. But I mean, those Renaissance men, they made Florence like a must-visit city. I guess it just came with a price. And I wonder if everything went my way with my goals in cleaning up this area and I kept it pristine, yes, my goal would be successful, but it would become a tourist destination. It would be like the Grand Canyon for future people. And it'd be packed, and all these houses would just be replaced with gift shops and Airbnbs. To the person who's drinking and driving and throwing their bottle out on the side of the ditch, who are you and who hurt you? Anyways, Italy was great, but after almost a week and a half of over 95-degree weather, I wanted some slightly cooler temperatures, so I went up north to Switzerland and then Paris. But even in Paris, I had to deal with 97-degree weather. I forgot to mention that when I was in Switzerland, there was this bird in the river, and it had a hook in its mouth. And hey, what the police or protection agency, some kind of government agency came on, and they came in a boat, and they caught the waterfowl, and everybody clapped, and I just thought it was really cool that Switzerland put the money and effort into wildlife protection. Hello there. Visiting the Palace of Versailles in France was really quite interesting because it made it very apparent why the French Revolution happened. Imagine being a French peasant, barely being able to feed your family and having to steal bread to survive. And then you walk by the Palace of Versailles which requires 10,000 workers to keep it operational, just to keep one noble family happy. Not even particularly happy. I mean, how much money can happiness bring? People say money can't buy happiness, but I have a little bit of a disagreement with that, because money could buy you comfort, and comfort could help you find happiness. However, what I will say is material things cannot buy happiness. By attaching yourself to material things, you separate yourself from the spiritual world. You're just distracting yourself from your own thoughts. When you distract yourself from your own thoughts, you can't find your own epiphanies. So I doubt that the royal monarchy in France was really, truly happy. I'm sure there was a lot of stress that came with the job, actually. Maybe King Louis the 13th or whatever didn't want to grow up to be king. You know, maybe he wanted to be a tailor, or the crepe man, you know, because there had to be a crepe man back then. They didn't have modern plumbing, so they would have to have a guy come in to town and scoop up all the shit, and then he would. This is beside the point. Anyways, I went to Germany after that. I visited this place called Holland-Tocklum, which translates to the Valley of Hell, which is very ironic because it was a very beautiful place. There was a very strong gorge with glacial water. Water so pure and clean and crisp, you could take your water bottle and just fill it up and drink it on the spot. You know what it tasted like? It tasted like Dasani. I'm kidding. It tasted way better than Dasani. As I was walking up the mountain, I noticed that there wasn't any trash to be found. And for just 2 hours, I was living in my reality of a pristine ecosystem without human interference. Other than a trail, but I mean, even the trail was very desolate. There was barely a trail. There you have it. I almost just died in Germany. After Germany, I did a slight excursion to Austria. Couldn't really tell you the difference between the two countries. I'm sure there are massive geopolitical differences, but I wouldn't be able to tell. After Austria, I went back up to northern Germany, visited a friend there, and after that, I went to the Netherlands. The first city that I visited in the Netherlands was Utrecht, which I'm probably mispronouncing, but that was a gorgeous city, and it had beautiful canals that cut through the city. And I was ecstatic to find out that you could rent a kayak for only €7 an hour. Boy, that was an experience. I mean, kayaking down here is fantastic because it's a beautiful natural area, but going through a city that's hundreds of years old and seeing the wonderful architecture, both old and new, seeing the wildlife and how it adapts to the city after hundreds of years of integration, it was really quite a spiritual moment. Another wonderful thing about Holland is that there are bike lanes everywhere. They love bikes. I've never seen so many people riding bikes in my life. There are bike lanes that are almost as big as the regular car lanes. It's really quite remarkable because the Netherlands, I think they at least popularized the bike. They innovated windmills and canals and dikes, seawalls. Really, the Dutch were innovators of green technology, and it led to them being a superpower in Europe and the world. That all kind of went away with the Industrial Revolution in Britain. The Netherlands felt like they had to follow suit. It leads me to wonder what the world would look like if we never discovered fossil fuels and burning coal, and we just let the Dutch continue to innovate with green technology. How different both history and our geography would look like, and what our technology would look like if we were a human civilization that is progressing through green technology. And it looks like we're starting to bounce back to that, but it seems to be too little too late, unfortunately. Europe was an incredible experience, and after 40 days and 40 nights of traveling, it was time for me to come home. And I'll never forget my time spent in Europe. I've learned a lot of things about myself. I've learned new skills like initiating contact with strangers, and through that skill I've met a lot of great people. And some of these people, I didn't get contact information, so I'll never see them again, but it doesn't mean that our conversations didn't mean anything. They were still impactful, and I think about them often. I walked through a spider's web. The last 40 days have been so jam-packed with stories and adventures that I look back at the summer and it's full and rich, and it's a long summer because each day had a story. Whereas summers in the past, they're just kind of a vibe that blurs together, and they're a little hard to distinguish one summer from the other. When I was traveling, I was alive. I was off the autopilot mode that we find ourselves stuck in. Dear shit. When the moon hits your eye like a big pizza pie, that's amore. Look, it's like I'm on a gondola in Venice, you know? I don't know. I didn't actually go to Venice.